Today we will discuss about the language processors, assembler, compiler and interpreter. In previous lecture, we had discussed about the different types of languages, assembly language, low-level language, and high-level language. Since computer is a machine, it only understands the language of 0 and 1, or we can say it only understands the flow of the flow of current. We represent the current if it is on by 1 and if it is off by 0. So since the computer is an electric machine, it only understands the language of 0 and 1. We need some mechanisms, we need some translators that converts the user language into machine understandable language or in machine language. So these are language processors that helps the user to convert its language into machine language. So our first language processor is assembler. It is a translating program. We are calling it a translating program because it is converting the user language, the assembly language into a machine language. So it is a translating program that converts the assembly language code to machine language code of the computer. It is a system software because most of the instructions are written in terms of 0 and 1, or in terms of some mnemonic codes, or in terms of some pseudo instructions. So this is the software that is supported and that supports all other applications. So it is supplied by the computer manufacturer. It is so called because in addition to translating an assembly language program into its equivalent machine language program, that is its work, it also assembles the machine language program in the main memory of the computer. Means whatever code it has converted into machine level language, it assembles all those instructions and collect it into the main memory of the computer to make it ready for execution, means to provide the output. So if we talk about the diagram, the input to the assembler is the assembly language program and the output is the machine language program. So there is one-to-one correspondence, means whatever code has been provided to the assembler, it gets converted one by one into its machine language code. Here object program is a machine program. Machine level language is also called your object program. So during the process of translation of a source program into its equivalent object program by the assembler, the source program is not being executed. Means whatever code gets converted from the assembly language to the low level language, it is only the object program. It is the result is not provided to the user. Only the code gets converted from assembly language to machine language. Later the code, after being converted into machine language code, the code is executed by the computer's processor. Then comes your compiler. It is also a translator program that translates the high level language program, the language that is understandable by the user. Means whatever you are typing on a system is in terms of high level language, means either you are typing in English, Hindi, these are your natural languages, and with the help of these languages we have built scientists have built a language that is called your high level language that follows some syntax rules and that has its own vocabulary. So that high level program is converted into its equivalent machine language program before it can be executed on the computer. So compiler only converts the high level program into its equivalent machine language program. Later computer processor executes that machine code. It is so called because it compiles a set of machine language instructions for every program instruction of high level language. We talk about the diagram. The input to the compiler is the high level language program and the output is the machine language program, which is later executed by the computer processor. So there is also a one-to-many correspondence, means the source program gets translated into your object program. And then comes during the process of translation of source program into its equivalent object program by the compiler, the source program is not being executed. As I told you earlier, only the compiler translates your source program into its equivalent object program. It doesn't execute the program. The execution of the program is done by the computer's processor. A compiler can translate only those programs which have been written in the language for which the compiler is made. For example, we have different compilers for different types of languages. For example, if we talk about the high level language C, then C compiler is capable only to translate the program that is written in C language. Means if you have written the program in Fortran, that is in formula translation language, then C, with the help of C compiler, you cannot compile the Fortran program. So for that you need a Fortran compiler. So a compiler is capable only to translate only those programs for which it is meant for. Each computer requires separate compiler for each high level language it supports. For every high level language we have a different compiler, and if you want to if you want to convert two programs in written in two different languages on your system, that your system must have two different compilers meant for those languages. An object program for one computer will not be the same as object program for another computer. Means if you have written if there are two systems and both the systems they have same compiler. For example, there are system A and system B, and both have C compiler. So it is not necessary that the object code for on these two systems for the same compiler is same. It may be different, however the results will be same. So if we talk about the systematic diagram, if you have two languages, if you want to execute your program in two languages, you need separate compilers for those two languages. Means program P1 in high level language L1 and program P2 in high level language L2. So you need different compilers for these two L1 and L2 languages, and these compilers will have separate machine code. Then comes your interpreter. It is also a translator used for translating programs written in high level language, but it takes one statement of a high level language program, translate it into machine language instruction, and immediately executes the resulting machine language instruction. Means in compiler, what was compiler doing? Compiler was converting the whole program into machine level program, but it was not executing that program. The execution of the program was done by computer processor. But this is not the case with interpreter. Interpreter will convert line by line your code into machine level code. For example, if your program has 10 lines, then first it converts the first line into machine level language, and whatever be the output of that first line, it will show you that output first, and then it moves to the second line. So simultaneously it converts the high level language into machine language, and simultaneously it also show the result of that language. So it immediately executes the resulting machine language instruction. So compiler simply translates the entire source program into an object program and is not involved in its execution. The input to an interpreter is the source program. Means whatever the program you are converting into low level language, that is called your source program, and the output is the result of program execution. Compiler was giving you the machine level code, it was not showing you the output, the result, whereas interpreter will show you the results simultaneously. Means whatever be the result of the program execution, it will give you the results also. The advantage of interpreters of compiler is that a syntax error in a program statement is detected and brought to the attention of the programmer as soon as the program statement is interpreted. Means if there is syntax error are those errors that if you are writing some program and this program is not according to the vocabulary of the programming language or according to the rules of that programming language, then interpreter will show you the results simultaneously, whereas it was not the case with compiler. It will show you the errors only after completing the whole program into machine level language, whereas interpreter shows you the result simultaneously. The disadvantage of interpreter over compiler is that they are slower than compilers, because they are executing the program simultaneously, so that's why they are slower than the compilers. So that's all for now. Thank you for watching this lecture.